The path to prime time and the road to the Chiefs' 2012 NFL Draft brings together all facets of the organization, from college scouting to coaching to pro personnel. With us, Chiefs Director of Pro Personnel, Ray Farmer. First, Ray, explain your role in the Chiefs organization.
Well, as Director of Pro Personnel, my role is simple. My job is kind of human resources of the football aspect. So I help manage the roster as far as all the pro players that are on our roster, as well as on other teams. We grade those players throughout the league, as well as the CFL, Arena Indoor Football League, any of the secondary leagues that are out there as well. Put together reports and give those to Scott and other decision makers so that we can add more players.
On a day that's so important to the future of the Chiefs organization, Draft Day, how does the pro personnel department and yourself get with the college guys to make sure that this is a successful NFL draft?
I think the biggest thing that we do is provide them an inside look at what the needs are for our football team. So as we go through the process, it's a big part of what we do is looking at where can we get better, where do we need to get better, what are the positions that we really need to address. And as we go through that process, it's a matter of streamlining who is and who are those players that can help us in those areas.
I'll ask you your mood on draft day, but first I want to ask you about 1996. Ray Farmer, selected by the Philadelphia Eagles, 121st overall pick. What was going through your mind on that day when you entered the NFL for the first time?
There was excitement. There was a lot of anxiety. And that's one of the things that I talk to the players about now is don't get caught up overly in the moment. Like, a lot of guys put a lot of stress on themselves, and I did. I speak from first person on that I sat there and I lamented over, oh, here we go. I should be gone by now. Oh, they took him. Why'd they take him? Why is that not my name? And so all of that anxiety can be bad for you. And I did. I lived it. I went through the first day and sat there, then you go to bed that night and you think about, why didn't I go? What did I do wrong? Where did I come up short? And then I came off the board the second day. But again, it was stressful, but at the same time, once you do get that phone call, it's a life-changing moment and excitement for everybody that's there.
Stressful, exciting, are those still part of the moods that you go through now as Director of Pro Personnel when you put together the draft?
Exciting, yes. Not stressful, though. I like to say I haven't had a real job yet because I love what I do. I think that when you are committed to what you're doing as far as your job, it makes it easier. I haven't had a chance to really settle into this being work. I enjoy coming in. I enjoy watching the players. I enjoy trying to figure out who are the better players in the draft that'll make our football team better. And then in that process, it makes it fun. And the excitement of it is you finally get to select some names that you've kind of done your homework on, you've done the background, you know what he is, you know who he is, and you've made your football team better.
As fans, we hear so much about this guy's character concerns or his reputation may not be the best. How much does that play in to not only draft day, but when you're out giving your free agent reports for potential players to come join this team that have already been in the league?
Every time you think about adding someone to your roster and into your locker room, that's one of the main concerns is who is this person? It's different, and I tell people all the time that you're dealing with young men. You know, football is really a game for young men. And anytime you make the investments that the National Football League does into these people, it's hard when you have to really know what happens to Josh Looney if I turn around and I give you $2 million. Are you the same person? Do you react the same way? Do you work the same way? Does your work ethic change? Does the pieces of you that really make you tick, they're going to go either way. Either you're going to be more of what you really want to be, or you're going to be more of who you already are. And we have to figure out that process to really hone in of what this guy's going to be when we add him to the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think it's very big. When I first got started, Ron Hill told me that there's 3 major pieces to break it down to players, specifically on the pro side: age, injury, and character. And you can't overstate those. As guys get older, as guys have injuries, if they're not good people, you don't want to add those guys to your roster.
This roster was very different before mid-March and free agency opened. It'll be very different after this weekend as well. How does that change your approach and your reports? Because free agency will continue. There will still be veteran players that come and sign on this team after the draft, after college free agents have been signed. How does that process, the whole draft process, change for you and your job?
I think it's always key for us to keep an idea of who's out there. And that's one of the things that I think Scott has done a tremendous job of, is making sure that we have an idea of what veterans are still available. Specifically, as you get closer to the quote-unquote June 1 deadline, then figuring out who those guys are, knowing who can help your roster, where you still may be a little bit thinner or where you can add a veteran at, those will be key, because you'll add guys in those components that'll help your football team when it really counts, and having that veteran leadership is a key component to that.
People always ask, are the Chiefs done with free agency? I'd imagine in your job you would say free agency, player acquisition is never a process that's ever done.
And I would definitely agree with that. I think that it never stops. You know, you're constantly looking for ways to improve your roster. Guys that have already been in the league, to me, is an easier way to upgrade. To me, the draft is a hard process. I think that's why we have so many college scouts. We spend so much time and so many resources on trying to figure those kids out. But once you're in the NFL, you kind of are what you are. You play against pro-level players. You get a chance to compete at the highest level. But then the reality is, those guys are really what you want. When you have your solid base of who your roster is what you're looking for. And as you go through the season, street free agents, poaching guys off the practice squad, like you said, it never stops. There's an ever-evolving ball that we kind of look at that helps us improve the football team.